Welcome, everybody. I'm glad to have with me today Representative Matt Hatchett, our District 150 representative. Matt, every year we get together. Well, first of all, we always see each other at St. Patrick's, and let's talk about that first. I know that was a difficult decision for our festival this year because in our 50-something years of having the St. Patrick's Festival, we've had rain and we've had different things happen, but we've never had anything in your and I's life like we're having now. We're in uncharted territory, obviously, but it was tough not having St. Patrick's, wasn't
it? Yeah, it was, James. I was in session then, and they called me one morning and just were saying if I had any more details or information, and I said I was hearing things, and sorry, phone's going out. Hearing things that didn't sound good, and they were trying to make the call, and I told her, I said, look, you don't need to make this call on your own. I said, you need to get with public health and the mayor and the leaders of all these different events, the big events, and y'all need to have a discussion and talk about it. You don't need to make this decision all by yourself. And they did, and they made the right decision for the entire community. I mean, it hurts. It's just it'll make 2021 even greater.
Yeah, so. I agree with you 100%. But it's always tough. They planned for over a year for this festival, and I know it made me sad knowing, because they're all dear friends of both of ours, and it made me sad when you see people blindly on social media attacking people when you really don't know the whole story and how bad it hurt them to make that call. But it's for all of us in the community, because we all want to live, and we want our kids to grow up, and we want our mom and dads to be safe. And so it was the right decision. I'll say right here on TV that is. I believe it's the right decision.
I've been where they were, and it's you catch the good and the bad when you're in that role. I just remember the weekend of the Balloon Fest. You always fight. The biggest issue with that is the weather, and the weather was just beautiful. There wasn't any wind that weekend, and then Super Weekend was beautiful too. So I mean, it's just the way it's what we had to do for everybody.
Well, you and I are usually sitting next to each other.
We are.
Most of the time, you and I do interviews. We talk as much off camera as we do on camera. But so it's a little bit different here. But I did want to sit down and talk with you today. And y'all had an abbreviated legislative session this year. Also, that had to be a tough call.
It was tough, but in the long haul, it's the right thing to do. We do. We're now faced with the challenges of getting back up there at some point, definitely before June 30th, because we've got to get the budget finished. We had sent the 2021 budget to the Senate, and I know that they were working very hard on it, and because of this, the virus that the revenue is going to be hit hard, and a lot of great things that we had in the budget will probably not occur in 2021. And hopefully we'll be back to normal and can occur after that. But, it's just a blow. And while I'm talking about the budget, we can't have this discussion today without acknowledging Jack Hill, great senator that spearheaded that effort in the Senate, and is even a bigger loss to our state because of his death yesterday. Just unexpected. He was 75, and he worked harder than any person I know up there, and he took great pride in what he did and for his people and for the budget. It's just a huge loss. And then we can't all go mourn together, which is even bigger. I lost a great friend in November. So we could get together and mourn and celebrate his life. And I hope that somewhere down the road we can get together with his family and his community and celebrate.
Matt, that's one of the hardest things to me right now is losing friends and not being able to go and love that family and to mourn with them. And you know how we are in the South, we're going to take food and we're going to love them and we're going to hold them and pray with them. And that's just what we do. And when you lose people like we're talking about now, and one of our dear friends and a friend of this community, Hugh Collins, and people like that, that taught us the value of hard work and what work ethic is. And you know, I think of Mr. Hugh Collins, and I always eating at the Dairy Queen, he always had that white rag in his pocket, and he'd pull it out, and he kept the cleanest restaurant. I'm not knocking anybody else, but he kept the cleanest restaurant anywhere around here. So, but
Mr. Hugh, hey, he was always nice to me. And like I commented on, you know, one of the posts on Facebook, he was one of the hardest working men I knew. And if anybody had a reason not to like me, it was him, because I went direct competition with him for a while, and he won. He was still in the business till the day he died. You know, and I think of Susan, that, you know, I don't know her husband Craig, but Susan was one of the first counter girls that worked for me at Hangers, and she was in high school, and she was a gem there, and I know she had to keep that up. And I know her family, I know her mom and dad are just devastated. But I mean,
yeah, what a tragic loss.
we can see them down the road.
Yeah, she meant so much to those children, and
right.
What a great educator. And you know, Matt, we are so fortunate in Lawrence County to have, and you and I talk about this a lot when we get together, but to have the systems that we have, whether you send your kids to the city of Dublin or East Lawrence or West Lawrence or Trinity or Johnson or Truitland, we have not only great schools, but we have great educators, great administrators. So we're fortunate to live in this part of the state, aren't we?
Yes, we are. I mean, we're all a big family, and that's that's the hard thing about this quarantine that we're in, is just, you know, and that's one reason it hurts about it, because we're all so mobile and we get around and see everybody everywhere. I mean, that's what hurts. I mean, you can't just stop by somebody's house and say, "Hey, how you doing?" You know, and that's what we do in the South. So.
Yeah. And, you know, we're right here in the middle of a political season, and we have so many seats that are up for grabs on the local level, whether it be DA or sheriff or probate or whatever, county commission seats. And from someone who has been politicking for many years, whether city council or legislature, it changes the landscape and how they're going to be able to reach these people, don't it?
It does, drastically. I mean, even putting signs out, you know, you depend on people to be driving by them, and not everybody's driving by. So now you're doing a lot of telephone, and I hope you got their numbers, because so many people are, you know, don't even have landlines anymore, and you hope you got access to their cell number.
Yeah. Okay, so we had an abbreviated session this year. You mentioned the budget, got to get back and handle it, but and it seemed to happen right like the day before crossover. Am I close there?
Yes.
The day before.
Week. It seemed like it might have been Tuesday.
Okay.
That we passed it.
Okay, so you were right there.
It was right before crossover.
Yeah. So what did? And I hate to say it this way, but did anything get done? What did y'all accomplish in that short time?
Well, I think there may have been a couple of bills that we had already gone across and handled. You know, we did pass the amended budget, which was changes to this year's budget that ends June 30th, and that's even up in the air now, because revenue, you know, the numbers came out this morning for March, which are the income tax figures, that payments that came in March, but they're the sales tax reflection of sales in February. So, you know, it's not, and sales tax was off just slightly. It was collected in February. It was just off just a little bit. So we're going to have a huge hit next month when the sales tax, falls off. We've heard predictions that I don't even want to repeat because you don't know. And so that's, we've got, fortunately, we do have a large reserve built up that hopefully can make up for this year's fiscal year. And I'm sure that departments are probably not, departments and agencies are probably not implementing some of the changes and additions we had put in place. So we've done that budget. It seems like there was one other piece of legislation that I know had crossed both sides. Don't know if the governor has signed them or not, obviously, because he's had a lot of things on his plate in the last month. So we've got a lot of legislation that's just sitting out there, and we've had several discussions about what bills do we think we really need to take up when we go back. We have 11 days of session left. The focus will be to get the budget done, and during that time, if there's legislation that we just know we have to do, one is the Internal Revenue Code update that we always do it every year, but it was and your accountants are usually jumping at the bit, wanting us to get it done, and we included that with the income tax reduction plan that we had proposed this year. So that'll be gone. That'll be gone away, and then we'll have to at least get that particular bill done. So.
Okay, you went in 2010.
Well, I was elected in 10, went in 11.
Went in 11. Okay.
Right.
This session, there was two people missing that you've always had with you, and that's Governor Nathan Deal and Bubba Epps. What has it been like, you not having those two, not only allies, but two close friends with you this term?
Well, I talked to Bubba not as often as I did, obviously, when he was there, but he and I have talked several times. We've talked since all this took place and just taking care of him. Bubba was a great, as you know, he's a gentleman's gentleman. I'd put him and Jack Hill in the same category. They did what was right and do what's right, and I could always bounce things off of Bubba, and he'd tell me, Matt, that's, that probably will work, or you might want to wait on that, or he was a good bouncing board. And Governor Deal, you don't realize, nobody, unless they've been in that position, understand the stress and all the decisions that hit them all the time when you're governor. And there's been obviously there was a change, and you realize there's a change, and the new governor has to get all his systems in place and get his people in place, and you have to learn their management style as opposed to your previous governor's style, and it is different, but it's they're all getting there, and we have to learn how. You've got to have the governor in anything we do, so you have to learn the system and learn who to approach and who you talk to, and to get things done with the governor's office. For the most part, it can't change. Your key people means replace some key people, but a lot of the people we were dealing with before are still there, as far as agency heads and department heads and their offices and support people. So it's there might have been a few bumps in the road, but we're moving on. But Governor Deal, I've seen him several times, and he's you can tell the weight of the world is off of him, and he's having a good time. Good.
Wonderful man, and of course him and his wife Sandra were allies of our community. I can't even number the amount of times that the two of them came to Lawrence County. So I had to ask you about that, because I know not only were they friends, they'll continue to be friends of your and Kim's, I know, for many years to come. But with a new governor in place, things do change. But how is our local delegation with Mr. Pruitt and Larry Walker and you, and how is our relationship with the new governor as far as our district is concerned?
I think our relationship is great. He loves Lawrence County. He's got some other close allies in Dublin. Some of them that he actually, went to college with, which is always you learn all these relationships when the stuff, when new people get elected, and he's got some great relationships here, and he's honored many of those previous relationships. So, I think we're doing great with the governor.
Well, you mentioned the budget a few times. This coronavirus has cost a lot of money we wasn't planning on. And you mentioned the word reserve a while ago. Y'all made some hard decisions over the past several years that put us in good financial shape. And we wasn't expecting this, but because of the hard decisions y'all have made over the years, Matt, we're able to tackle this without the pressure a lot of states are having, aren't we?
Yes, we still the pressure, but we do have the money there that we need. I haven't heard exactly how the money for states is going to be, it's going to come down from the federal government. I forgot the number, $250 billion for states. And if we get our share of that, it will definitely help, help a lot, get through this crunch. So I hope we find out soon.
What do you see out there in the future? What's some of the, we talk about healthcare a lot. We see pop up in the polls and shoring up on a national level, Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security. But on a statewide level, what are some of the obstacles that you see, some of the things that we have out in the future in the state of Georgia?
As far, monetarily and
yes.
Those, yes. Well, obviously those things you mentioned, Medicare and Medicaid, because it's funded, a third of that is funded by the state, and it's our largest, it's our largest or second largest part of the budget. And anytime you have unemployment spikes like this, you end up with more people on Medicaid and government assistance, and we have to ante up for a lot of that, and that'll be another thing to watch and just see what that does. A lot of the money that is going out and coming through the state is being funneled from the federal government. So hopefully it won't, it'll be a temporary issue. I know we're going to come back from this. It'll be interesting to watch how quickly or slowly we do. Cautious, companies come back. Trying to think other, one of the healthcare is one of the big issues with the state, and one of the things we've been working on, and I mentioned it prior to session, and we had been successful up to that point on writing or totally revamping the system, the pharmaceutical benefit manager system, pharmacy benefit managers, and they're a middleman in our pharmaceutical suppliers that their existence and purpose is being questioned a lot, and we had made a lot of changes that we're hopefully going to drive down cost, and don't know where those will stand when we get back. Maybe a battle we have to repeat in next year's session. So those are just a few of the things, and one thing that I hope we can do, and that we had done in the 21 budget, we had budgeted an additional $1,000 for teachers. We did $3,000 last year. We budgeted $1,000, and we'd also budgeted a 2% raise across the board for all state employees. And with that, we had focused a higher increase, 5 to 7%, on some really high turnover state jobs, corrections officers, juvenile detention. Those that some of them are at 95% turnover rate. Mm. You've got to do something there, and so we were working on. There was about, I want to say 7 or 8 different departments that had identified jobs like that. We were taking a focused effort on trying to increase that issue, because that's just, you can't put a number on what that costs just because you're continually training and turning, people over. So I hope we can at least maybe, if the federal money comes in, we can continue that piece of it, because that's essential. So it's cost us a lot more down the road by the turnover.
With Alan Peake not in session now, not in the legislature, I hadn't heard a lot about medical marijuana. Where are we headed there in the state of Georgia?
We passed the bill last year that would allow the growing of marijuana in 6 different facilities across the state. And that was formed a commission. The commission has been formed. They haven't hired executive director, and there's been having public meetings across the state. We put money in both budgets for them to basically start forming that commission and hire an executive director to get it implemented. Meanwhile, there's a lot of different companies going around the state, looking for places and looking for buildings and areas to put those operations in effect. And they're all kind of on hold really right now, just until the commission writes up all its rules and starts the process.